the specific context of the book is actually the General Assembly of 1920. Machen was a first-time commissioner at the General Assembly, and this was the culmination of, at this General Assembly was the culmination of 50 years of progressive Protestantism, which I would actually say was very much supportive of a Christian nationalism. And their shining moment was helping to win World War I, which, even though Machen served in the YMCA, he was not in any way sympathetic to the English in that struggle. He had studied in Germany in graduate school, and he was much more sympathetic to Germany in some ways, partly because of friendship, partly because he was suspicious of the English or the British Empire. And this is a different Germany from the Germany that emerges in the 30s with Hitler. So let's also try to keep that straight. The Kaiser is not Hitler. So Machen was standing up. So at the 1920 General Assembly, there's a proposal for the union of all Protestant churches in the United States, the organic union. They had had a federal union in 1908 with the Federal Council of Churches. Now they wanted to merge into one body. It was a colossal failure. But it was plausible because the same thing happened in Canada. And in 1925, similar era, you have the formation of the United Church of Canada, which took Anglicans, Presbyterians, and Methodists and put them into one church. Although it wound up creating four churches because there were Anglicans, Presbyterians, and Methodists who stayed out of the United Church, which would have happened in the United States as well. But Machen saw this coming, and he heard the report. The report was given by the president of Princeton Theological Seminary, J. Ross Stevenson, and I'm sure he was thinking, what on earth is going on here? And so he then gives an address. He meets, the General Assembly was in Philadelphia. He meets other conservatives in that area. I'm sure he knew some from Philadelphia, but then there was also the Presbytery of Chester, which is just south and west of Philadelphia. And he gave a talk in 1921 called Christianity or Liberalism, I think was called, and that became an essay that was published in the Princeton Theological Review. So the origins of the book actually go back to 1920. He was thinking about this even before Fosdick preached his sermon, and he was reacting again to what's important to see about that Protestant movement of ecumenism that was going on from the reunion of the old school and new school Presbyterians in 1869. And Presbyterians were prominent in this Protestant ecumenical endeavor. It was also very much a social gospel endeavor. These people wanted to Christianize America. And for all the flack that Machen's taking of late for his clear error, if you want to call it sin, about race, he saw, though, that these people are also guilty of a kind of white Christian nationalism, and he was opposed to using the church in that way. And that's part of where this book comes from. He does talk not exclusively, a lot about theology in the book, but he also talks about society and politics a number of times, and he's very critical of the social gospel movement. He doesn't call it that directly, but he talks about using Christianity to solve certain social problems, and he's very critical of that. Especially, I think it's in chapter 6 or so, the chapter on the church. So I think Machen, and he wasn't the lone one doing this. I've done a lot of work on H.L. Mencken. Mencken also saw this progressivism and opposed it. He was not a fan of where the United States went in World War I, and there were other kind of constitutional libertarian types who were opposed to these developments, both in the church and in the nation. But I don't think I recognized as much what Machen was up to in the book when I wrote my dissertation. And I don't know. I can't remember what you do for show notes. And I'll try to send you a link, and if you want to put it up there. But
that'd be great.
Michael Doran or Duran, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. He's a He's a foreign policy guy. He worked in the Bush administration, and now I'm not sure what think tank he works for, but he published a piece in First Things about 2 years ago about American foreign policy. But he was writing favorably about William Jennings Bryan and sort of contrasting the liberal Protestant understandings of America's role in the world versus the fundamentalist one. And there, I think Machen would fit in Duran's analysis. And so there was more going on than simply a controversy in the church over the virgin birth of Christ. It was also, these were mainline churches, these were important American institutions, and they were supporting a nationalist vision in many respects.